From the Oregon State University Extension Service, this is Pollination, a podcast that tells the stories of researchers, land managers, and people like you who are making bold strides to improve the health of pollinators. I'm your host, Dr. Adoni Malathopoulos, Associate Professor of Pollinator Health in the Department of Horticulture. Unless you live under a rock, you know that next week is National Pollinator Week, June 19th to 25th. It is our opportunity to get together and celebrate all the pollinators, those with backbones and those without, throughout North America. The National Pollinator Week, as you remember from a previous podcast, is organized by the North American Pollinator Protection Campaign. And this year, there's a whole lot of events in the Pacific Northwest. Looking around the region in Eugene Library, there's an event on June 20th. In Boise, there's a garden tour on June 21st. Port Townsend, June 22nd. And then there's a whole lot of events on June 24th, the last day of National Pollinator Week. North Clackamas Parks and Recreation, City of Olympia, a bunch in Vancouver, British Columbia. One thing I do want to say, I'm really excited for British Columbia because BC Place, Burnaby City Hall, and Coquitlam City Hall are all going to be lit up in black and yellow bands to celebrate our pollinators. So good job, British Columbia. I myself am going to be busy. I'm going to be in Newport on June 22nd in the evening at Wolf Tree Pub in Newport for the Pollinator Pub Palooza. I'm going to be in Estacada the next day at the Oregon Family Forest Convention, where we're going to be talking to woodland owners about creating pollinator habitat on their property. And then the weekend is packed with beekeeping stuff, Oregon Master Beekeeping Conference on Saturday, Field Day on Saturday, as well as the Lynn Benton County Field Day on Sunday. To get me jazzed up and prepared, I knew there was one person I needed to talk to. That's Michael O'Loughlin is a master melitologist. He is a master gardener. He is a pro at public engagement. And in fact, he's organizing on behalf of Clark Public Utilities an exciting event that I think is going to be the highlight for the region, the Pollinator Festival, which is going to be in Vancouver, Washington on June 24th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's going to feature some amazing vendors as well as Doug Tallamy. It's a family-friendly event with food trucks and all sorts of Oregon Bee Project's going to be there, the Washington Bee Atlas. It's going to be a fantastic event. Anyways, so this week, let's talk with Michael O'Loughlin about public engagement as well as this Pollinator Festival in Vancouver, Washington to kick off this annual week of pollinator celebration. Okay, have I ever had you on this podcast before?
I think I've been on it twice, actually.
Oh, all right. Well, that being the case, welcome back, Michael O'Loughlin, to Pollination.
Thank you.
Now, I'm really excited. We had lockdowns and COVID, and there was not a lot of pollinator outreach activities, but now it's just everywhere. And there's one happening in Vancouver, Washington, that I heard about, that you're helping organize. Tell us a little bit about it.
I am. So Clark Public Utilities, where I work, is holding their very first Pollinator Festival. And we started a pollinator initiative in 2021. And our goal is to responsibly use our own property, whether it's our office building or rights of way, etc., and put pollinator habitat on those properties. So in 2021, we planted 2 gardens. And then in 2022, we planted a 3rd garden as well as a pollinator meadow under our solar panels at Community Solar. Mm-hmm. And that next progression of this whole thing is then the outreach to the public. And so we're having a Pollinator Festival on June 24th, which is the last Saturday of National Pollinator Week. And we have Doug Tallamy, who's
what?
Yeah.
What?
He's actually coming out of Hawaii to come, and he's actually going to do in-person seminar for us. And if you don't know about Doug Tallamy, he is an amazing speaker, a hopeful speaker about how we as individuals on our own, in our homes, in our businesses, can make a difference.
So this is a great connection. So in addition, starting from doing pollinator initiatives within the company, having a public outreach event, having Doug Tallamy talk about his initiative, everybody should be like, we can make a national park from all our little like pieces of property. We can, do conservation, a really kind of linked together event. So what is somebody who comes to the event, what are they going to tell us what a day is going to be like?
Days from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. We have food trucks. We have music. You can come and grab some of the chalk and color in one of our tile squares on our courtyard. We'll have presentations beyond just Doug Halme. We're going to do a couple tours of our pollinator meadow. You can find out how to install a pollinator meadow. We'll also do two tours actually, of our pollinator garden, and we'll go through how we designed it, why we designed it for lower maintenance, the plant choices we made, etc. And then there are a host of booths, from farmers market booths where you can get soaps and honey, etc., to just about every agency and university in the area that have programs, like Oregon State's Master Melittologist program will be represented, Oregon Bee Atlas and the Washington Bee Atlas will be there. It's a full day, and if you have kids, we'll have a whole kids section. We'll be doing kids crafts as well.
Now, I just coming back around to it, because I now remember, I'm getting old, but the last time we had you on the podcast, you were talking about Yamhill County, where we're recording this podcast, doing low maintenance pollinator habitat on roadsides, and you were talking about establishing pollinator meadows and having a little bit of a workshop on this. What are the tricks? What's the kind of trickiness about? I mean, everybody wants it, right? Like, you saw The Sound of Music and you saw Julie Andrews twirling around. Like, how hard could it be to make that thing? Tell us about what people might learn about establishing meadows.
I think the toughest part is we need to realize that where we're trying to establish these meadows are not a natural area. I mean, they are whatever. They are where the home was built and we've got fill dirt, or it's not natural. So what we are facing most of the time is we're fighting the weed issue. So it takes a lot of prep. We prepped our meadows for over a year, where we would till it, kill the weeds, constantly to try to get that seed bank out of there.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, if you were to type into Google pollinator meadows and it comes up, they will be the most beautiful, all in bloom meadow, but that's not a natural meadow.
Yeah.
Meadows have a season. They will dry out. That's natural. That's a good process, because that means they're all going to seed, which means then the birds are coming in then and getting seed from them as well. And I think we need to realize too that there's a succession. So you'll have plants, let's say like bluehead gilia, an annual. It's great, comes up, blooms right away. Ours is in full bloom right now. Eventually, that plant will be outcompeted in the seed mix, and the perennials will start taking over. So through the years, it will change, and there'll be a few dominant species in the end. So if you have a particular look you want, you will have to go back in and reseed it at some point if you want to try to start back at square one.
I suppose the lesson is that you do need a balance of the planning for the future, and if you just like, I love Gilia, I want it to be Gilia forever, you will fail. But knowing that Gilia's as an annual is there to give you some punch right at the early end, but that it is going to fall out, and you need to sort of think about what plants are going to be filling in that area that aren't going to be weeds. That must be the trick.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the meadows that we see naturally, those are evolution for thousands of years, and we're trying to game the system in a couple of years. We can't really game that system. The only way to do that is you'd have to literally, probably after 2 years, kill everything, replow it, replant again. If you look at a little broader approach, it's okay if this goes through succession, and I can always come back and reseed, like I said, and live with that method, I think it will be a little less of a tug on your heartstrings, but you need to know that. Now, if you want an exact look of a garden, then start planting rhododendrons or whatever, because they all stay in the same place, and you won't have to worry about that.
Okay, so there's going to be a workshop on that. We're going to have Doug Tomley talking. We have all these vendors, food, fun. There's going to be family events. Am I missing anything?
No, it's a full day's worth of events if you want, or just come for the first half or the second half and enjoy yourself. It's all free, so there's no cost, and we got plenty of parking.
So June 24th. Last end of National Pollinator Week, and we're going to have the information in the show notes, but where do people show up?
So this is at our operations center. So if you're not familiar with Vancouver and or our operations center, best probably to type in Clark Public Utilities Pollinator Festival. go on the site to get the address. It's right on the corner of 117th and Patton Parkway. So if you're in Vancouver, you know where that's at, because that's where the community solar array is. So it's very dominant on that corner. But probably best just to go to Clark Public Utilities website and look at the pollinator information, and it'll have the seminar schedule in there, all the vendors that are going to be there, etc. So you kind of know what you're looking at before you come.
One last thing before I let you go. I have seen you have done some magnificent public displays, and I think there's lots of our listeners who are looking to engage the public at a tabling event. What to you makes a good kind of tabling event where the public is coming to you on their own volition? They aren't obligated, and you're trying to engage them. What tell us, from the point that you see they look at you briefly. Tell us what makes it work well.
I think that when you're trying to engage the public, try to think of them at about the 4th grade level as far as experience with the subject matter. You don't want to get too sophisticated at the top. You don't want to have signage that has lots of words on it, etc. You want to have lots of visual displays. It's really easy when you're in the pollinator world, because you can have beautiful butterflies, all these fancy bees. You really start just blowing their mind. And one of the greatest opening questions on the native bees is, how many species do you think are sitting here in Washington or in Oregon? Mm-hmm. Because generally speaking, most people undercount it by hundreds.
Yeah.
And then you just start asking a few open-ended questions of the people who are attending. A lot of people will say something like, do you raise honeybees? And the answer might be no, and then the conversation has just stopped at that point. But if you said, hey, what in this booth, why did you come over here in the first place? What interested you? What did you see? I see you're looking over in this direction. Are you interested in butterflies? That opens a discussion. And it is amazing how much people want to learn. They're at that event for a reason. You just have to get them. Even the most gregarious people tend to be a little bit shy about coming up to booths. But if you open up with an open-ended question, you can start a conversation. Hardest part's getting rid of them then.
I think that's a great, it does elicit from them, because I think my rookie mistake when I first started doing it is I just bombarded the poor soul without getting a sense of what their interest was. And those open-ended questions, like you have the display, it brings them in. I think it does kind of get them to sort of what are their interests? Some people they're interested in honeybees right from the start, and you can launch into, or they're interested in native bees, and you don't have any of those places to pull. And I think good, effective engagement has that quality about it.
Yeah, find out where they're at, because it's interesting, because people like to talk about their interests, but unless you open that up and you're just feeding them information, you just kind of make a little blockade artificially for them.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to this. June 24th. Again, when does it start?
10 o'clock in the morning.
10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be visiting those food trucks. It's going to be a great day. Thanks so much for telling us about this event.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Show notes with links from each episode are available at the website pollinationpodcast.oregonstate.edu. I also love hearing from you, and there's a form at the website where you can pop in and say hello and give me feedback. If you want to support the show, remember to leave a rating on iTunes, Spotify, or whatever podcast mothership you use. And finally, if you have the means and you want to help support my lab's effort to document bee biodiversity in Oregon, visit OregonBeeAtlas.org and follow down to the donate button, where you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Jerry and Judith Paul Native Pollinator Endowment. Every little bit helps. See you next episode.